50. Hey, we getting down to serious. We about real talk. Even though y'all know a little bit about me, I'm about healthy lifestyles. I'm a sports nutrition and I'm a personal trainer coach. I've been doing nutrition, a nutritionist over the last 10 years and a trainer 20 plus years. So, healthy lifestyles, I'm all natural. So I get a little particular about when this 19 vaccines and how quick they came up with it. But I'm going to let y'all see this video I'm about to review today from the Game Theorists, who had an interview with Dr. Fauci. Now, their channel got around 13.9 subscribers. So high influencer, you'll see how he got this interview. But I'm going to let y'all, I'm going to share my screen and want to hear what y'all got to see. Just if you got any comments, man, shoot me an email at evolvedinlife@gmail.com or DM me on IG or Facebook at CutNice50. Here we go. Man, here we.
So today's Matt Chat is a little bit different. And I say Matt Chat as though that's some format that exists on this channel. Really, it just refers to any time that I'm sitting on the couch, I'm talking about important, serious topics. And
that's like me, real talk. And theirs is about video games. You see Pokemon in the back, Mario.
I was given a chance to interview Dr. Anthony Fauci. He is the director of the National Institute of Allergies and Infectious Diseases, or if you don't really care about that, really, he's the face of science as it relates to everything that's been going on about COVID-19 for the better part of the last year.
Dr. Anthony Fauci.
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 Dr. Anthony Fauci, someone you know really well.
The allergy part, put that aside. Don't care about that. It's all about the infectious diseases today. Why me, you ask? Why was I the person selected to interview him? Great question. Don't know. Honestly, they just reached out to me and they're like, hey, do you want to talk to this important person?
And I believe they reached out to him because he got 13.9 million followers on a game channel. So he's a high influencer. He's going to reach millions of people and is going to start trending. So, of course, he wanted to spread news, which they believe positive news on this vaccine so y'all can get this vaccinated.
And who is answering questions about COVID-19. And I'm like, absolutely yes. I'm assuming it's because our channels are mildly educational and aim to bust myths about things in video games, movies, and TV. And so this is all about busting the myths of COVID-19. But you know what? Might not be that. Could be that Dr. Fauci really wanted to know the FNAF timeline or wanted to get real deep into Among Us lore. Maybe it was that. So what you're about to see is our uncensored interview with Dr. Fauci. He's a busy man, as you can imagine. And so we were only allowed 10 to 15 minutes with him. We tried to get as much valuable information in there as possible for you guys to spread out to others who might be believing misinformation that's been circulating, or to answer questions about those of you who are worried about potentially getting the vaccine for yourself. So we tried to cram as much good material in there as possible. So enjoy, and if this is helpful to you at all, or you think it could be helpful to those who are also affected by this, please feel free to share. This man, like I said, is the voice of science, up-to-date science of what we know about this disease as it's happening, what we know about the vaccines as they're coming out. And so
I wonder if this guy right here is if he's going to get vaccinated, or has he already been vaccinated from this shot, and what his true belief on this COVID-19 vaccine is.
Dr. Fauci, I'm Matthew.
And I'm Stephanie. It's great to meet you.
And we run a edutainment channel on YouTube. So thank you so much for taking the time with us today to talk about COVID, the vaccine, and everything that's been going on in the world.
Yeah, we know you have very little time, so we're going to be really rude and jump right into it.
Okay, be rude.
All right.
Fantastic. So just right out of the gate, obviously COVID has been a huge headline for the better part of the last year. And in the early days, a lot of things got reported that science has since shown to not be true anymore, or the knowledge around that topic has changed. And so to start things off, I'd love to just have a minute off the top of your head. What are some of the common myths or misconceptions about COVID that people still believe that you'd like to kind of clear the air on?
Well, I think the biggest myth is that a substantial proportion, I don't mean majority, but a proportion that's troubling, of people still think this is a hoax and it's fake news and it's not real. That seems astounding to me, that even in regions of the country where the hospitals are being overrun by running out of beds with exhausted personnel, and people in that region are still, A, not wearing masks, believe it's a big hoax, believe it's being overplayed, and it's fake news. That, to me, is just, in all of the decades that I've been involved in infectious disease work and dealing with outbreaks, I've never seen a dissociation of reality among some people. So to me, that's the biggest myth. The next biggest myth is that masks don't work, so you shouldn't be wearing a mask. Masks absolutely do work. The other myths that are out there are conspiracy theory myths, which are almost laughable, that, where the vaccine is really putting chips in people so that, Bill Gates and I can follow people around and encroach upon their private.
Now, I don't know about these chips. I never heard that one. But if you know anything about Bill Gates, like I said, you can Google it, do the research. Now, chips in a vaccine, I don't think so. But do some research about Bill Gates. Dr. Fauci, I didn't ever hear anything about them two working together, conspiring or anything like that from any of the people who give me information. But I guess that was something new. And he is right about some areas they think is a hoax. They think it doesn't exist, but it is a true virus. It's a virus. Now, my own personal beliefs of it, I believe you strong, healthy immune system that you'll be okay. Either way, is a type of flu. So it's a different strain. It's more deadlier. We don't know how it attack people and stuff like that. And do I believe it's man-made? Probably so. Just like any other war, this COVID has already killed more people, I think, than any war that we done been in or all together, period. So we'll see what the numbers finally is. But like I say, they want to get as many people vaccinated as possible, and there got to be a reason, an underlying reason for it. But just watch and hear what he got to say. You'll hear some similar things that I already said in my other two videos, and he gonna manifest them here.
So it's really, it sometimes seems funny, but it's sad because we have 352,000 people. 352,000 people in this country have died. We have 3,000 deaths per day. So anything that's a conspiracy theory, a claiming of there being a hoax, talking about fake news, does nothing but prevent us as a nation from responding in an appropriate way to stop this historic
3,000
pandemic,
a day,
which is nothing like we've seen in literally 102 years.
I think that transitions really well actually into the next question that we have, which is specifically about people who don't believe that the vaccine or the multiple vaccines that have been developed are safe. We have, people we know, even, some members of our extended family who are saying, I'm not going to get this vaccine because it hasn't been tested and it's not safe. We would love to hear what you would have us tell to our family who would say that, or just to people who don't believe it's safe. How do we know it's safe?
Okay, so that's a good question, because that is not myth. Those are appropriate questions that people are asking. They're understandable, and we should never criticize anybody for asking those questions. So the two issues that have been on the forefront of things that I've gotten asked is that, boy, you did this really quickly. The virus was discovered in January of 2020, and you're already giving vaccinations to people in December of 2020. That must have been a rush, and you were cutting corners. Well, the answer to that is true. It is the fastest that has ever been done in history, but the speed relates to the extraordinary scientific advances that have been made in vaccine platform technology. And
Now, this is the fastest we ever did a vaccine in history. But it was technological advancements, you telling me, that speeded up the process. The fastest in the history. Now, anything that normally kill people, heart attacks, cancer, HIV, you name it. But now from COVID, we got the technological advances faster than anything else that we ever accomplished, and able to give started vaccination people in December, less than 9 months, I guess, from when they say they was going to come up with a vaccination program. mind you. So 9 months technological advances. Which technological? Who found these advances? Because they have to be extra wealthy or rich, and they would have had to be made public for you even to. Oh, that's so much research. But let's keep watching here. What you got to say?
Enormous amount of resources that have been invested in developing and producing doses even before we knew if it worked. So we took a big.
So you was giving out doses even before you knew it worked. That's what you just said.
Financial risk. So the speed did not compromise scientific integrity, nor did it compromise safety.
So normally any vaccine that they come through, y'all should know it takes over 5 years for a process, trials, years of progress, or short-term and long-term side effects and how your body can react to it. But no shortcuts was ever made, and it's the fastest, and you have no data to prove it. Okay.
Next big question is, how do we know it's safe and effective?
Yeah.
Is this the federal government putting something over on us? Or is this the pharmaceutical companies trying to make a lot of money? Well, the answer is the determination of safety and efficacy was made by clinical trials that had thousands and thousands of people, 30,000 people.
30,000 people. Clinical trials. Where y'all think they did these trials at? Watch one of my other videos. You'll find out where they did them at.
The Moderna trial, 44,000 people in the Pfizer trial. The decision of whether or not the data
that's over 70,000 people.
Safety and efficacy is not made by the federal government. It's not made by the pharmaceutical company. It's made by an independent board called the Data and Safety Monitoring Board that looks at the data and in a completely independent way makes a determination if it's safe and effective. Only then does the company then take that data and present it to the FDA. The career scientists at the FDA, not political appointees, but career scientists, they look at the data and then in association with their advisory committee, which is yet again another independent advisory committee, beholden to no one but the general public, they then help make the recommendation of whether you and I should get the vaccine. So the process is both transparent and independent. So
now that process to me ain't transparent or independent. I mean, you telling me that an independent board gonna study data and then decide for us that it's right for us to do it. The government ain't gonna approve it. The FDA ain't gonna approve it, but they gonna decide off the data that it's safe for us to take it.
Although the questions you asked that some of your relatives are asking are appropriate and understandable questions, there is an answer to each of those questions.
And when you mentioned the size of compare with other similar clinical trials done in the past?
Much larger. Because get an answer quickly, and the more infections there are in the community, which is unfortunate for us, but in some respects beneficial for a vaccine trial, because the more infections there are, the quicker you get an answer. If there were no infections in the community, it would take years to get an answer. It took like 3 months to get an answer.
And because of that,
so y'all just heard what it said. It normally takes years.